We've all heard the saying that the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Now, we've heard that saying for a long time, and wholeheartedly, we believe it to be true. Chances are, if you're watching this video, you believe it to be true. Because there never has been a truer statement when it comes to gun crime in America. However, the media does not talk about good guys with guns. They just talk about bad guys with guns, and they share all the stories of where a bad guy with a gun did some terrible acts. And unfortunately, anytime there's a good guy present that stops that bad guy, it's never talked about. So the stories about a good guy with a gun stopping a bad guy with a gun is completely erased from anything that we ever hear about in the media. Quite honestly, here at God, Family, and Guns, I'm pretty darn sick of that. So we want to begin to share stories of good guys with guns and how they stopped atrocious events from happening where maybe something really bad was about to happen, but instead it was shut down quick from a good guy with a gun. So here we want to begin a series where we share stories in America of times that a good guy with a gun has stopped a bad guy with a gun. And we've seen this happen since the invention of the gun, time and time again. That's why most of you carry guns. I'd be willing to bet that almost every single person watching this video is a good guy with a gun, or a good guy who is interested in carrying a gun. Maybe you're a first-time gun owner, but chances are, if you're a first-time gun owner, you bought a gun to protect yourself and your family. So here at God, Family, Guns, we want to begin to share those stories. Certainly there's thousands and thousands of stories of good guys with guns stopping bad guys with guns. So I just kind of want to begin with a story that really hits close to home. And it was several years ago in Kansas City. There was a woman home alone, and two men broke into her front door, kicked it in with guns. They grabbed her, put her in the closet, and then they told her to stay there. They'd kill her. And then they proceeded to go through her house and rob her. And of course, she had no idea what was about to happen. Unfortunately for them, the closet is where she kept her gun. So she, of course, being locked in the closet, retrieved it and just kind of waited for the opportune time. And as soon as one of those men with a gun opened the door, she shot him. He then stumbled out to the front yard and collapsed and died there in the front yard, and the other man just took off running. It's kind of a story that was about to end tragic, but it had certainly a different ending. Now, the reason this hits home was because the following morning, as I went as a teacher to teach one of my chemistry classes, I noticed one of my students was missing. And somebody proceeded to tell me that he was that man who broke into that woman's house and he was shot and killed. Now, that young man sat in my class. He was a great young man, and this was a terrible event. It was a terrible choice that he had made. And it broke my heart. I hated to hear that he was shot. But I understand. There was no part of me that didn't understand why he was shot. And unfortunately, it's still a tragic story, but you can't just bust into a woman's house with guns and put her in the closet and not expect to be shot for that. So I share this story because it's kind of a twist on the good guy with the gun. That was a great kid or young man, and he just made a really, really terrible decision, and that decision cost him his life. And of course, it was a justifiable shooting. And then that whole afternoon, all the rest of the students who wanted to participate, we went into the auditorium where we just talked about him and shared our memories of him. It was really tragic and sad because, again, I liked having the young man in my class. I really did. To this day, it breaks my heart that happened, but I get it. I totally understand why it happened. There's no part of me that doesn't think that was not justifiable. Of course it was a justified shooting. So unfortunately, all we really ever hear about in the media is a bad guy with a gun. And then they take that, put a spin on it, and the only people really getting punished or rights are being restricted are the good guys with the gun. That doesn't make any sense at all, and the world needs to hear about these stories of where a good guy with a gun saved lives, because that's why we do it. That's why we carry firearms, is we want to save our own lives, our family's lives, our neighbors' lives, and quite honestly, strangers' lives, if those lives are being threatened by a bad guy with a gun. So I hope this video helps. If you have some stories, definitely put them in the comments below. We got to blow this kind of thing up because, of course, the media is doing the exact opposite. And quite honestly, I'm sick of that. You know, you can take any story and put a spin on it to fit an agenda, and that's definitely what the media is doing. So we absolutely need to promote these stories of a good guy with a gun. So you're going to definitely be catching more of those here on this channel, and especially as they come into current events. But of course, there's thousands of older events that we can take from. So if you have some, put them in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support our channel through Patreon, that link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so never hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.